see the guns. Let's see the guns before you go. Let's see where that protein shake is going. Look at that, Will. I think that his biceps are harder than your head.
I don't doubt it.
There's only one way to find out, man.
I don't doubt it.
Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. We're back. Now, of course, This episode will air about 7 weeks from actually back, but it's the first week of September, and we are recording our first episode of A Work in Progress after our August recess. How does it feel to be back, Will?
Oh, it feels good. I missed this. Certainly missed you and Carol. Hope you had a great time.
Thank you. We absolutely did. Banter, welcome back. We're good. I have a couple of things. One is I forgot how to do the podcast. My brother texted me like at 1:45, and I was like, there's no way I can talk. I forgot how to do everything. So I guess I'm well rested. So that was good.
Yes. Well, your muscle memory came back though.
It did. It we'll see. But still no real arrow from the people. So we're gonna have to use that today. And there's one Easter egg. You might have seen it in the warm-up. There's a new slide, actually a replacement slide. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you where it is. But when we get to it, you're going to have to do it.
Okay. Can wing it. Question for you: will there be a cameo from Donkey during this show? I know
Donkey might make the cold open when I edit it. I'm not sure. Or Donkey might make the episode I edit this weekend because it's closer to real time. Anywho.
That's a nod to you and your LinkedIn work for those who don't follow John's posts on LinkedIn. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
But also, Donkey made an appearance in there, and I certainly enjoyed that.
Donkey's name was Donkey. And my name is John Lane.
And I'm Will Barfield.
And we are
A Work in
Progress. I missed saying that. I missed that. Let us get into it. As always, we have a special guest. Hey, Mitt.
What's up, guys?
Introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, John and Will.
Pleasure.
So I'm a health coach. I started my own business about 5 years ago after working in the corporate world and going through my own health journey that really inspired me to help others. So, it's a labor of love, and I help people, executives typically look, feel, and perform their best by really optimizing mental and physical health.
Very nice. Good for you.
John, was this something, Mitch, that you noticed that was a missing component in you professionally, personally, in your corporate career? Is that what inspired you to do this? Because you were like, I'm not at my peak, and here are the reasons why.
No, I had several health challenges. I could rattle it off real quick. TBIs, autoimmune disease, Lyme disease, heavy metals, diabetes, TBIs, 3 long haul COVIDs, and that really inspired me to make some changes. And I realized that I had to do that, make some changes. I wasn't going to survive or get better in the corporate world, and so I left and did everything I could to make myself better.
Well, we love having entrepreneurs on the show. Thank you.
And we're proud of you for taking some of these things on directly. A lot of men are built in such a way that they won't ask for help or accept help if given. So I think coming from a guy like you who has been there, done that, hopefully some of your folks you can help are a little bit more receptive to that. So
it's men's mental health is always something that's been a little bit taboo in our society, and something I'm certainly passionate about.
Well, we're glad you're doing that. Let us get into the show. Will, Surprise.
Yes.
Surprise.
Look at that. That's a sharp slide.
It got better. Why don't you
It
tell us?
did. It's pretty. You
Yeah.
well done. When did you do that? Was that some of your deep work while you were
No, I
gone?
did it today. I did it today.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, and are you pausing because I'm doing the slide?
yes.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Did you know that the kind of the spinal column backbone for our show is the OAD survey? It is an assessment tool. It's not a test, John, that we use to unlock and define superpowers for people like Mitch. He just happens to have a whole bunch of them. It's a highly accurate and easy to administer test. I'm sure Mitch was able to finish it in about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Um, because it's structured the way it is, it eliminates social desirability distortions. It's not a less than, greater than, ABCD. And then it's built to the standards of leading international psychology instructions and rating agencies. Look at all those on the bottom, and there's more than that. Actually, you'd have to have 2 slides for all of them.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
But one of the reasons that John and I love working with the tool: speed, accuracy, and it's got the scientific efficacy behind it.
Whoa. Without prep. Super well done.
Didn't even know the slide was coming. It's
I
great.
know. Well, it is. It has come and gone. Vini vidi vici. It came, it saw, it conquered, and let's get started. So, what we do on this pod, as everybody knows, is we talk about leadership traits under stress, under straits.
Straits can be stressful.
We only do one cut here, brother, so we muddle through. But the way we get our leadership traits before we can measure them under stress is from the OAD assessment. You heard all about it from Will. One of the ways we simplify showing it, folks, is in this 2x2 quadrant. And I'll just show you a little bit of what we'll cover today. I am a socially oriented generalist in the builder quadrant, and I am a negotiator. Our pal Will is a
technically oriented generalist, which places me in the upper left in that beautiful blue, makes me an architect, and I happen to be a developer.
That is correct. Thank you. And Mitch is also a socially oriented generalist in
Stunning.
the builder. We get a lot of them in our world, and we could talk about why, but that's not really important for today. What is important is that we are going to establish his trait pattern and then get into the strengths and weaknesses. So, Will, is there something you'd like to ask him?
I'd like to ask him how it feels to be reduced your whole personality and history to a two-dimensional table. What do you think about that, Mitch?
I thought it was really interesting to do a test or a survey that took 5 minutes and to really hit the nail on the head in several different categories. And I always love learning about myself, and just like the podcast is called, I feel like I'm a work in progress. So it's always cool to learn something new and respond in a way that makes me better at my job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's break it down. So, as we learned earlier, it's the A and D relationship and the E and D relationship that puts you in the upper right.
Yes.
Our friend Mitch is a builder negotiator just like me. Our patterns, shapes are almost identical. Mine just slides over to the right a little bit. That doesn't change much. It just is. So what we know about Mitch is that he is a assertive person. He is a extroverted person. He operates with a lot of urgency and details schmeetails. That's not his bag, and he'll delegate them to somebody else if he feels that they are better at it than him. He won't become the bottleneck. So that's our pal. And then here are some of the generic superpowers and kryptonite that come out. Will, why don't you walk us through this a little bit?
Certainly. So, Mitch, for someone like you, someone like John, anyone who lands in the upper right quadrant as a generic builder negotiator, they are going to get these same superpowers, all of them. So, from a generic standpoint, let's just single click on one of these. Is there one of the list that really jumps out at you, either something you notice about yourself or something others have noticed about you that really hits home in that column?
Um, I mean, a little bit of everything. They're all getting pretty accurate there. Task delegator is what I would say jumps out to me the most.
Yeah, and John mentioned on that with your results, how that detail orientation is furthest to the left, and that's usually an indicator that someone would highly prefer to delegate as opposed to
Hmm.
getting down in the weeds and handling the details themselves. So
Of
that's
course.
why that is so accurate there. On the kryptonite, same thing. Anyone who gets this readout is going to see those. John would too. Exactly the same slide. Is there one of these that jumped out at you, feels more accurate than others, or really resonates?
I can take little points from each one of them, just like on the superpowers. But I would say, can be too outwardly looking and overlooking internal capabilities. That stands out for me on a more of a personal level, but certainly when I was starting my business, more of a professional level.
Give me just a little bit more on that. Why'd you pick that one? I like it.
So when I was working in the corporate world for 7 years, account executive, did really well for myself in a family business that I, could have taken over one day. And so when I made this passionate leap, I would say to follow what I was excited about health and wellness and helping other people, there's a bit of a identity shift there, and you could even call that what is it, imposter syndrome? Like who am I to tell people what to do, right? And so it was a little bit of fear, leaving a nice cushiony role that that provided a lot for me and my family, and then going into something that was purely passion and completely new.
No, thank you. And thank you for the revealing answer. John,
I
anything you
agree.
want to say before we move on?
No, I love that.
So, unlike that last slide, Mitch,
Yep.
this is your own work. So John shared the
Hmm.
results with you, gave you a little homework assignment. You put some notes together and sent them back. Let's talk through these bullets. Why did you add some content and flair to these particular superpower items?
Yeah, just a little bit of detail there. The task delegator, like we talked about, I I think we said I'm urgent, right? So I want to help my clients or even myself when I've got a personal goal. I want to get there as quick as I can, right? And so I know what I'm good at, and I know when it's time to outsource to save time and energy, really.
Got it. How about
Yeah.
that optimistic demeanor?
Optimistic demeanor. I share this with my clients a lot, and it's like, speaking and thinking in the negative creates more of it. So we really create our world and our the outcome that we're seeking with the way that we think and the way that we speak. And so I think you have a choice there. You can be a victim and you can think the worst is going to happen and you're likely going to attract that, or you can be informed optimistic. I don't want to be blatantly ignoring anything, but I always want to expect the best, right? And I want to track that to me with the way that I think and the way that I communicate.
I love that. I was doing a courage meditation actually this morning, and the mantra we were using was I am fierce, I am free, I am on fire. And we
Mm,
just said that to ourselves just as a way not to be unafraid. Can't, if you're afraid, you're afraid, but it's to follow your passion like you've done and
mm.
get through that to create the thing that you want to create. So I can kind of sense that in what you're telling us about the leap you made. And I
Yeah,
want everybody to
absolutely.
know I meditate.
Gold star, gold star.
On that self-confidence piece, it says there, what you're good at. It sounds like
Hmm.
that self-confidence trumped that imposter syndrome, and you just kind of blew through that to find yourself where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting the reps in, right? It's proving to yourself over time what I'm made of and what I'm good at, and I think that you can even pair that with the task delegator, right? Like I know what I'm good at, and it's like when I've got a client that's potentially looking to hire me, I'm very picky with that selection process because I truly want to help them, and I've got to understand what their pain points is, and can I help them? And if I can't, I'm happy to point them in the right direction. I'm confident in my capabilities and what I'm able to provide, and if it's outside of that, it's typically not going to be a good fit for me or for the potential client, because it's going to waste both of our times, and we're not going to enjoy doing it.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like that.
Kryptonite. So same thing here, Mitch. You did a self-analysis. You gave John some responses, and we've kind of distilled them down to these 4 bullets. Let's talk through these. Why'd you pick them? What have you shared here?
Yeah, that kind of goes back to leaving the corporate world and embracing that new role, and then in my healing journey, along the way, I whenever our culture kind of sets us up to look to someone else, to look to a pill or a particular diet program or whatever that may be, like I wanted somebody to heal me, and along that journey, I realized that the healing comes from inside. It comes from being able to tap into my intuition, to have that guide me to whatever it is that is going to get me out of the hole that I've dug myself when it comes to someone being in a negative health situation, right? So I had to really overcome that inner critic that said that I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I need someone to save me. And I'm very clear on that with my clients to say, hey, look, man, nobody's coming to the rescue, but I'm going to be here to be your guide because I've been there, and we're going to really listen to your body and what your intuition is saying as to what the next step for you is. So I'm meeting them where they're at, and helping them channel their own, inner superhero, and getting over that imposter syndrome.
Love it.
Yep. And then details, you touched on that earlier, and that's just
This was
like
my
to delegate.
paraphrasing.
Yeah. Delegate when you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What I added for you from your notes to me though was, it doesn't always work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that I think is important. Like we're talking about kryptonite here, right? These aren't humble brags.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah.
because we have the same traits. I have similar situations where I will fly over some details because I just don't want to get into them, only to find out later that I probably should have known something and reckon with the outcome of that.
It reminds me of a story when I was growing up. I was put in charge of putting together a swing set for my mom on Mother's Day, right? And I had the instructions, and my brother was wanting to read the instructions. I'm like, dude, get out of here. We can put this together, and I put it together completely backwards, and the thing didn't work, right? So that's something that's like a typical outcome if we don't slow down, look at the big pictures, really take in those instructions and put them into practice versus like, blowing past it and doing our own thing.
Well, that bleeds right into the impulsive and reactionary comment there,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're like, I don't need the instructions. I can do this. So that's a great comment. We hear a lot, John, on this show about the overcommitment.
All the time, all the time.
People pleasing, struggling to say no. Unpack that for us a little bit, Mitch.
That's something that I have this year have really dove into. I've really been leaning into the nervous system healing and trauma healing for myself. And, guys, I was upside down with my health for the last couple of years. Definitely 17 years ago is when all this happened, and the last 4 were the toughest, right? And so as I'm trying to get my business off the ground and moving to a new city and meeting all these new people, I would really override how I'm feeling and ignore times when I needed to rest, and instead overcommitting and pushing myself, which really led me into not showing up in the way that I wanted to be, or, me crashing afterwards for energy, not having enough energy. And now I've really learned to master my physiology to the point that I can notice these little physiological signs and symptoms that say, hey, Mitch, it's time to slow down. It's time to chill. And got over that people pleasing that says I have to do this, right? I have to take care of me. And when my cup is full, I can certainly share that with others. Go back to the whole saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
I love that.
Well said. John, I think that's a great segue.
Yeah.
Um,
Nicely done, Mitch.
you are you've been in this self-analysis mode, Mitch, for a good period here, while you looked at your health and you looked at your career and you looked at where you wanted to go with your life and what you wanted to do to help you, and then in turn be able to help others. um, Talk to us about what you learned through this process, taking the OAD, analyzing your superpowers and kryptonite, and maybe some learnings that you can apply to what you're doing today, and what you want to continue doing to do good work on yourself and with your clients.
Certainly. Yeah. Just like the podcast implies, like I'm a work in progress and I realize that. Right. And the kryptonite that really stood out to me when I'm in stress is kind of going with the quickest decision, like not really sitting with that, not making an informed decision. Now what I've learned and what I'll be doing going forward, especially after this test, is to really sit when I have a problem I'm trying to solve, or the problem I'm trying to solve, is use my tools, right? Like give myself some time. Don't feel like I have to be so urgent with the decisions. Reach out to my network of people that I rely on to kind of mirror back to me the decision in front of me and help me make the best decision possible. Because I feel like, if we don't have that urgency, we don't feel like we have to do this right away. We can really slow down and make a better decision. And that's something that, certainly my wife will appreciate as well. Like, one of the things I wrote in my response to you guys is my Amazon package list. So I can get really excited about it. I mean, you can't imagine how many people or companies are sending stuff to me and trying different things out. And I can hop on Amazon and order a bunch of stuff. I got 5 different things showing 10 different things. It looks like Christmas every day at my house. And my wife certainly doesn't like that. So, instead of being so impulsive, like really taking my time, taking a deep breath, queuing into what's the best decision for me, and I think get a better result that way.
Yeah, I think the idea of intentionality is important for everyone, but I think for folks like us with that higher assertiveness and lower patience, where we see a thing and we act on a thing, sometimes it's just to be a checklist, but you can gum things up by not being intentional. So I share that with you.
Yeah, intentional, and I would add to that, in tune, right? Like, John, you and I were having this conversation prior to the podcast. It's like, how does this trauma or stored stress in our body affect our decisions? If we are triggered and acting emotionally, then we're gonna try to protect ourselves, right? Instead of being intentional and thought-provoking when it comes to making that decision. We can make a decision from a younger version of ourselves that feels like it needs to act out or protect itself. So that's really important, to make sure we're centering ourselves and making a good decision versus something impulsive from some unresolved stress from the past.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And maybe just to do a callback, when you made fun of my glasses earlier, I think you might regret that. Thank you. I take the apology.
If you don't, he's going to want you to regret it.
Well, that was in response to you making fun of my hat, right?
Yeah.
Edit that out.
Yeah. Will, take us home,
both
brother.
ways.
So we would love to know, if you enjoyed this, if there's someone else you can think of in your network to recommend that you believe would participate, enjoy the show, gain something from this professionally and personally. Anybody else? Who's next? What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you've had my good buddy Clint Webb on. Have you?
No, we know Clint though.
Yeah, Clint, the golf networker, as he'd be known on LinkedIn. Clint's got a huge heart. He's really passionate about sales and connecting people and relationships. And he wears just like me, wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's happy to be open and vulnerable. I think when John asked me months ago if I could come on and be vulnerable, I said, John, that's my love language, brother. And I'd say the same for Clint Webb.
I love
Clint's good people.
No relationship though,
huh? You'd think that, as much as we're around each other, but nah, just the same last name.
There you go. it took us so long to get this recorded. I can't believe it's over. Loves having you. We'll see you at the club and out in the real world. I'm John Lane.
I am Will Barfield.
And all of us are a work in progress.
Thanks, Mitch. Great show, man. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks,
Bye,
brother.
everybody.
All right, I've been missing my kryptonite bloopers, Will, and I got a bunch saved up for the out weeks, but we're gonna see if our listeners can learn from our mistakes. Why don't I go first? This is gonna be super quick. I have, and this is a common one with me, messing up names. I have been calling our guest Mitt Webber since, as opposed to Mitch Webb. And you heard me on the show a couple of times say him instead of his name because I was so up in my head about getting it wrong that I kind of self-corrected. But that's
how'd you land there on that version of his name?
I don't know. I don't know how it works. What do you got?
So mine is actually, with my profile, I can have, detailed delegation as a strength. And I tell you, my blooper actually comes from that side of the equation.
Nice.
I detail delegated to one of my business partners, handling a project that, I'm fully, entrusted them with, and it is blown up in my face, and I got some repair work to do with that client. So that's a little bit of a blooper of the other sort that I have to deal with.
We'll have to get back into that in a future episode.
Yes, ask me again.
Ask me again.
Conversation with my client tomorrow.
Mitch.
I got one for you. So when it comes to not having enough attention to detail, I'm sure some of my clients can tell you that if I don't put something on my counter, that's what I use to keep me on task, right? So I can get busy and get going and get absorbed into whatever I'm doing, and 2 hours later realize that I missed a call or a meeting or a schedule, and now I have to have alarms on my phone and all that. So I've put my foot in my mouth a couple of times by not being available for appointments or forgetting about them.
Same thing, brother. Awesome. Yeah. Have a great week, everybody. Mitch, we got to get out on the disc golf course. Bye, everyone.
Let's do it, brother.
Bye. See y'all. Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Bye, Mitt.
Work in Progress is a podcast presentation of Slipshod Productions. Available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Executive produced and starring John Lane and Will Barfield. Talent booking, production, and editing by John Lane. Thanks for watching. See you next week.